So we're going to probably get started about 9:02 Mountain Time and give everyone a chance to get in and get on. Welcome to the V3 implementation call, September 13th, 2023. And as a reminder, especially for you vendors where you need to, as part of maintaining compliance, you need to get credit for attending the V3 calls. Please update your names so that we know who you are and who you're with or representing on the call. That's very important and allows us to make sure credit is given correctly. It's good for you guys. And now we are at 9:02. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And if you've not already done so and you just popped into the meeting, please update your name with the affiliation in the participation list. And as a reminder, these are recorded and they are posted. So please keep your chat, if you are unmuted, appropriate for everyone. And just as a reminder, I know everyone misses the ability to chat back and forth and be able to just unmute yourself and speak. Please know that you can still talk. You just need to raise your hand so that we can unmute you. Unfortunately, in today's environment, we just have to be careful for Zoom intruders and things like that who should not be attending the meeting. So we still want to hear from you. Please you're welcome to put things in the chat or go ahead and raise your hand and we can unmute you so you can speak. I think we can go ahead and get started. That's all the business end of the information. I'm going to go ahead and share the agenda for today. I've already done a welcome, so let's turn it over to Lauri Lunde.
Thanks, Jen. I'm going to share my screen real quick here. And let me just say as well, I know Monet is going to give an update on annual meeting, but I just wanted to take a moment and say a huge thank you to everyone who took time out of your busy schedules and away from families to join us in Park City a few weeks ago. We think it was a great success, and we appreciate the feedback we got as well on the survey we sent out, and we heard that and have even new greater ideas for next year already brewing. So thank you to everyone who participated. And if you were not able to participate, there is a recording available on our website as well. I'd encourage you to watch Wednesdays and Thursdays sessions. We are going to do a stakeholder introduction here, and the purpose of this really is to get to know each other. You see little names and boxes and headshots of people, but we want to help build connections, and hopefully that will lead to collaboration. And that was really a big focus of our evening activities at the annual meeting as well, so that you could get to know coworkers and people that are in your shoes, maybe in other parts of the country or in different similar roles that can support each other. And this stakeholder, when asked what do they like to do to relax or unwind, they said their favorite outdoor activity is river canoeing. If you have a guess of who this is as I'm explaining them, feel free to type a name in the chat. Something interesting about them, and if you know this person, they may have shared this with you, it's something they're very passionate about, is that they are an adoptive parent of a safe haven baby box surrender. And so we have some pictures of that cute baby at the end here today too. What was one of their first jobs? I thought this was interesting. They said both their parents owned their own businesses. My first job was working for my parents. My father was a blister packaging engineer. He built machines for packing medical supplies, and I would hold the flashlight or hand over the screwdrivers. So that was a fun first job. Any guesses? I'm trying to see the chat here too at the same time.
There have been quite
so you guys are guessing correctly. It is Randall. And here's some pictures if you have not met his very cute baby there. And he also shared a picture of one of his cats and his beautiful wife. So Randall, if you want to say hello, feel free to unmute or turn your camera on and wave hello. And Wesley, is that your daughter's name? Am I remembering correctly? Does he need to be unmuted?
There, I got it now. Yeah, that's my daughter's name. My daughter's name is Wesley. Like you said before, I am very passionate about the adoptive parent role that I'm in for my daughter there. And then my wife, her name is Jessica. And then my cat there is Snickle Fritz. I actually do have another cat, Banjo, but I think I sent a couple too many pics. But no, most of you probably met me at the NHTSA annual meeting. Also very involved with the DMC. So thanks for the introduction.
Sounds good. Thanks, Randall. And I wanted to give a quick update as well on our states transitioning to 3.5. We're excited to say we have 25 states that have turned green. So we're officially at that kind of halfway mark. We actually have 54, I believe, states and territories submitting. So almost halfway, I guess. And congratulations, in the last month or so, we've had North Carolina, Massachusetts, West Virginia, Alabama, Wisconsin, South Carolina, DC, Virginia, and Georgia turn green. And we have several more states that we're working with. Hopefully in the next few weeks or a month, we'll see some more turning green. So reach out to us if you're in that process and you have questions. And thank you to all the software vendors on the call as well. I know you guys are working hard to support states in this transition. So thank you. And that is all I have. I'll pass it back to you, Jen.
Thank you, Lauri. Yeah, I have to say I'm super excited about how much work is being done in getting everyone to turn green. It's kind of cool. And I never knew until being on this side of the house how competitive some of our state data managers are. It's turn green, got to turn green. So, all right, real quick, we have a maintenance update. The maintenance will be done September 17th and 18th. There will be some interruption to services. We will try and do our best to keep that to a minimum. When the maintenance starts, we will send out an email notification to the Google group and let you know. And then when it is done, we will let you know as well. So thank you very much. And if you report any issues on the 17th or 18th, feel free to email us and make sure that it has anything to do with the maintenance or if we need to know about it. And that will take us over to Monet, who is going to break down the annual meeting for us.
Okay, thank you, Jen. Hello, everyone. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, perfect. So again, we would like to thank you all for joining us for the annual meeting. If you were not able to attend in person, I want to give you a little track down memory lane to kind of describe the flow of the meeting, how we envisioned the meeting and how you participated. So we first mentioned that we would be in a new venue and that we would be in a walkable community. And so we appreciate all of you who came out for this new adventure. There were many restaurants and shopping and trails and things like that you could explore. And we heard back on the surveys that you really appreciated having all of those amenities within close walking distance. On the first day, we had a reception for those of you who traveled on Monday, and we asked you to meet us in a location called the Sky Bridge. And so this was a beautiful atmosphere. We had some appetizers and some small drinks or a cash bar for you to explore. I want to thank my on-the-spot DJ, Tony Dugan, who helped us with the music that evening. You may have heard that we played a large array of different music for you. We played country western and a little bit of pop, some of everything. So thank you again, Tony, for just jumping in to help me with that. On Tuesday, we started our pre-conference sessions and we had about 125 of you packed in 3 rooms. So we may have outgrown this space, but we will definitely look at this venue again for next year if the numbers stay about the same. On Tuesday evening, we asked you to walk over to the Swanner Center with us. And we also had a welcome event there. So we thank you all who came out for that. And then on Wednesday, we started our general sessions. And I would like to thank John Burkhart and Amber Greger for helping me with the testing of the virtual platform. That was really helpful, that I could immediately contact someone that I had a good relationship with to say, hey, help me out, just to make sure that we kept the Zoom platform safe. And so there were about 44 people on the Zoom. Again, we continue with the Wednesday sessions, and we did a lot of voting on the 351 standard. And so Jen Correa will talk about that a little later. And then we also went to a location called the Basin Recreation Center. It was a field house. We are initially going to play pickleball. I'm sorry for all of you who prepared for pickleball and were not able to attend, but we did have a fantastic time playing kickball. And I would like to echo a statement about competitiveness of our software vendors, our stakeholders, state managers. You all are some serious competitive folks. The kickball tournament was very interesting. My team, we were losing pretty bad, but we had a great time. And there has been a little bit of a rumor about a tackle. This is proof that it was a gentle embrace, and she still got away and hit base. You can see me out on the floor there. So just wanted to clear that up. And then we had some great fun with the Emmy Awards and the Wheel of Prizes and scavenger hunts, and very competitive people who decided to draw the image that they were supposed to find and argued their point that it was valid. So very cute. We continued on Thursday with more voting. And after Thursday session, we gathered on a bus and went to the Utah Olympic Park for some serious fun on the slides and other rides there. And I'll tell you that this picture at the end was really the highlight of my week. I had the opportunity to look at all the smiles on the faces, and I could tell that you all had a fabulous time. So we did have the evaluations. Thank you for completing those. I will ask my colleague to review the information with you, but for the most part, it appears that everyone had a great opportunity to connect, and we will continue to improve the meeting so that you have more of that networking time that you need, the one-on-one time. Here's a breakdown. We had 6 federal partners in person, 11 agency folks, 33 vendors, 45 state, and then 29 folks on interoperability. And again, we had a nice turnout online as well. Now, I am going to stop this particular share and actually show you where we have the information on the website, so that if you would like to review the recordings, Mr. Hoffman has already added the link to the chat, but it's down here in the software vendor news, and it's here where it says the 2023 annual meeting. You can simply click on this more button, and all of the information that we provided for the annual meeting is listed here. So we have the day 1 and day 2 recordings, and we also have the presentations from the Data Managers Forum. We will also post any information that we can share on the interoperability workshop. And if you have any additional questions about anything that's not here, simply submit a ticket. The ticket, you can find it here at the bottom on submit a help desk ticket, and let us know if you have additional comments, suggestions about the annual meeting, and we will definitely take all of those considerations to heart and try to improve the meeting. And I would like to turn a little bit of time over to Mr. Hoffman to share some of the results from the survey, from the evaluation. Awesome. Thank you so much. If you have questions, add them to the chat for me or send them in a ticket. And we may also allow you to ask any questions at this time. or after Mr. Hoffman. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have a little bit of time here to go ahead and have some questions answered. Let me see here. Start. All right. You seeing the PowerPoint okay there, Monet?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. So just real quick on here, this was survey results. Thank you, everyone who took the survey. I know it came out a little bit later than usual, but thanks for everybody who took the time to jump into it and get us some responses here. So of the responses here, 42 responses, we vast majority of people who did the in-person meeting, and but 12% of people who did attend virtually. We're real happy to be able to make that an option for people. One of the highlights here, we thought it seems like we are doing a very good job of making a good value for your money here. 90% of our respondents said that they felt like the registration was a fair price, and that is something that we try to take in careful consideration to make sure that the meeting stays accessible, and so people can come in and participate. We asked if you had enough time allocated to cover the topics, and we had a majority here, right? So 66%, 57% that said yes, but we did have a set of people who said no and maybe. So we will make sure that this is something that we are keeping in mind when we are planning the schedule for next year. So topics for the V3 implementation calls here, the one we're on right now. So vast majority of you wanted to speak about the 351 proposed changes, continue that conversation that we have been having at the annual meetings and previous V3 calls. Next up was for the national custom elements and for agency level reporting, all the way down to, it seems that we have covered the migration of NEMSIS to AWS sufficiently for everyone. Doesn't mean you shouldn't have, if you have questions about it, that you shouldn't forward them over. It's just not going to probably bubble up to a topic that we're going to cover on the V3 call. What were some of the themes that we had? We asked the question, what did we do well during the meeting? And we had a lot of good feedback for the location, saying that the location had good restaurants and things to do as you were nearby. Lots of compliments on the organization, and that is very much kudos to the entire team, but highlights for Monet and Benji and Lauri, who spent a ton of time getting the organization shows for all the hard work that everybody put into there. Lots of general compliments, which we are very humbled by and very happy about. People were very happy about the interactivity of the meeting questions and of the events that went on afterwards, which we thought were really great, and lots of compliments for the food. Again, Monet did a great job finding the food vendor that came out for us. We were really happy. It was ask Monet one of these times what it was like to try to get someone who wasn't already in the University of Utah system into it, and we're glad that worked out. So what things for improvement that we had on the we asked what we could improve. What was great, even in the what could we improve, we also received compliments, which we were very proud of. Thank you very much for that. One of the main things we said, people were saying that vendors and data managers would like more FaceTime or meetups with each other. A lot of times this is the only time they get a chance to meet in person, or one of the only times for the year. And so if we could facilitate more of that interaction, people would like us to. We're, like I said, we're taking all of this back to the team and seeing what we can fit in and what would be appropriate for the meeting. But just wanted to let you know, this is the feedback we've been getting, and we're hearing you. We did get feedback that there was a little bit too much time on the voting. Good news on this is that this is for this particular thing that's probably not going to be the focus at a annual meeting again. Maybe it'll be a different one in a similar format, but we will keep that in mind that people had mentioned that. The vendors and data managers asked if there could be specific meetings for just vendors and for just data managers. And so keeping tracks for people at this particular meeting was kind of rough because of the space that we had, but that will go into consideration when we are looking at either using this space again or finding a new one. We did get some feedback for an open forum, getting a chance for people to questions and comments to come from the audience to have a time for discussion. That is on our list for the consideration, and for the name tags. I have heard you loud and clear. The name tags were a little bit small. I appreciate that. Next year that will be taken care of. Were there any comments or questions that anyone wanted to make sure was added to our list of things to consider for the annual meeting for next year? If there is, if you want to raise your hand, or if you want to kick it into the chat, that is also an option. Again, to echo what Monet said, thank you everyone for participating. And it is, for us, it is such an important thing every year to have you there and working with us throughout all of this, but it's always a treat to see you in person. With that, I will go ahead and hand it back over to Jen, I believe.
It is back to me.
Yay.
So because everyone expressed how much they enjoyed talking about version 351 during the annual meeting, we're going to talk just a little bit more about it today. And it will more than likely come up on a few other meetings for the V3, because there are a few items that either need more work or are still being reviewed for and compared to the first survey with the poll results. So what you're seeing on your screen here is the poll results just from the V351 meeting. And I do want to put out a huge thank you to all of you for your patience and your participation and the input and the conversation. And Chris is right, we have heard you, and we are working on a way to change the process a little bit slightly for the future versions, so that more of this development and solutioning is done before we get to the yes or no, should it be included time. So here what you're seeing is anything that the green is for the yes column, right? So if it's 65 to 100%, it's green. It is moving forward toward 351. Anything in red is in the no column. If it was 65 to 100% for no, it's done for version 351, and it will be removed from contention for 351. If one of your suggestions has fallen into this category and you do want to continue to champion it for possibly for the next version, let's talk. Let's, it doesn't mean that the idea is dead in the water. It just means that it's not going to be in 351, and maybe it needs to go back for a little bit more work before it comes back to the TAC. And then the yellow is the needs more work. You can see that there are not too many that fell into the 65 to 100 on needs more work. Those we will definitely be talking about on future V35 calls. And then you'll see that there's there's blue and brown. Those are items that have fallen outside of the 65 to 100% parameter. We're going to take and compare those with the original survey results and see what that does to the percentage. And see where the majority lies on that. And then there's also discussion to be had around the gender, because we are, what Eric kind of talked about at the annual meeting, that we do need to follow those federal guidelines and how to solution it so that we can all get where we need to go and collect the data we need to get. And just to let everyone know, we did also hear that you would like to have any items that are related to each other. So for example, if eResponse 23 has more than one suggestion, that we talk about those all together. So we did hear that, and in any future calls where we talk about items that have multiple change requests, we will talk about them. So are there any questions or comments or anything for the results on the V351? Feel free to raise your hand or put it into the chat. And if we don't respond to your chat during the meeting, please know that we do review the chat after the meeting to make sure that there is nothing that we missed during the meeting. So please feel free to put it in there. And if you're still uncomfortable and don't want to do it during the call, you are welcome to send an email as well. All right. So if you come up with something later, let us know. The other thing on the agenda to talk about is the E times 09 unit left scene date time definition clarification. So this actually came up during the meeting. I don't remember which session, but Karen Jacobson brought that up to our attention, that there was a change between 3.4 and 3.5 that had been missed on the change logs, on the documentation that was provided. We did put out an announcement on August 29th about it, but we wanted to make sure, in case you didn't see it or it got lost in the email, we talked about it a little here as well. The definition did change. This was a request that was reviewed and discussed through the whole process of 3.4 to 3.5. And it is now listed on the list of V3.5 resources that change. So please, if you find anything that you think is different and you can't find in the change log when you compare 3.4 and 3.5, please don't hesitate to bring it to our attention. That allows us the time to look it up, investigate, find out what went on, and make the change. Are there any questions about E times 09? All right, and I did see a question from David Saylor. What are the 1% results? Yeah, I'll have to look that up and see, but it looks like it would be 1 out of the entire selection that voted for it in either the yes or the no or the needs more work column. And I will take the cookie, Jay. I am really partial to the cranberry and white chocolate chip, but I don't think I can actually accept them. But I will buy myself one and eat it. Any other questions or comments, either about the poll results or about E times 09? And David says, shouldn't all 3 columns add to 100? No, these ones here were based on the, I believe these are the ones here. Oh, these were the yes or no questions based on a previous answer, right? So this is a subset of the original question. So that's why it might be a little bit different. And you don't see the no's or the needs more work. They didn't do any voting. They didn't get, I could put zeros in there. Any other questions? Sorry, I keep looking to the side because I have the comments up on the other screen here. So that takes us to the interoperability, which will be Josh Legler. Thank you very much, Josh. Chris, will you unmute Mr. Legler, please?
Hey, good morning, everyone. I can talk now. Just a quick update on interoperability efforts. We had the interoperability workshop in conjunction with the NHTSA annual meeting. Great. Big thanks to everyone who came to that workshop to work on interoperability. One of the things I'm hoping for next year is to see multiple EMS software vendors involved in vignettes that are presented in the interoperability showcase at the HIMSS conference. and a great opportunity to show that EMS is part of the healthcare system and that interoperability between EMS and the rest of healthcare is important and doable. We are continuing to make progress every month with the EMS Interoperability Task Force. We started that up at the beginning of this year. We've been meeting monthly. We've covered a lot of topics so far in interoperability. And the next task force call is tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. And it uses the same Zoom link as this meeting. So tomorrow at 11 Mountain. Tomorrow's topic will be on the step in the interoperability workflow where EMS tries to get the outcomes from the hospital after the end of an encounter. I have several people on deck from different perspectives to talk about stuff they're seeing today that's working for getting that outcome data. This is obviously a really important step in the process from the NHTSA TAC perspective, because the priority of the NHTSA TAC is to get more outcomes in the national EMS database. And of course, getting the outcome from the hospital to the EMS agency is prerequisite to getting it on and sent on to the national database. So that's tomorrow's topic, 11 a.m. Mountain, getting hospital outcomes back to EMS. Then for the rest of the year and into next year, we'll continue through some half a dozen remaining topics that we have for the Interoperability Task Force, looking at how to get patient medical history, patient identification and matching, looking at the data elements that are important to pull out of the various documents that are flowing back and forth between EMS and other healthcare providers, and looking at the APIs that are used for making all these transactions happen. If there are any questions on interoperability, I'd be happy to take them. And otherwise, that's all I've got. Okay, thanks.
All right. Yep, I didn't see any. And if we get any afterwards, Josh, we will go ahead and get those passed on to you. Next on the agenda is Eric Chaney. Are there any items from the Office of EMS that you'd like to talk about today? Chris, can you unmute Eric, please?
How's that? Good?
Yes.
Excellent. Thanks, Jen. Just a couple things. Just follow up on the annual meeting, anything that you would like to see more of or less of is very important to me. We can certainly bring in other people if there were people there on topics that for topics that you want to hear about, but we didn't have. I'm very happy to do that. Please just let me know what they are. Then I'll mention December the 15th will be our ONC data forum. We had talked about this on the 13th, doing an all-day meeting, and that has changed. The reason that has changed is ONC has endorsed this now. They're providing room and space as a part of their formal meeting. It's at the end of their meeting. It will be on the 15th from noon until 3:30. So we lost a little bit of time, but we're gaining the basically marketing and everything that goes along with ONC having this meeting, and they're providing the room and space for us. Monet has registration for it. There'll be more talk about this set up. There's a one-page brochure with a link to register. I do want to be very clear that you do not have to attend the whole ONC meeting to participate in this one. The meeting is held in Washington, D.C. However, you do not have to go in person. There will be a virtual option for that meeting. We will be setting that up, and there'll be more to come on that. But so you have a virtual option. You can, and I would encourage you, if you are interested in anything related to HIEs, interoperability of data, sharing data with healthcare centers and hospitals and medical treatment facilities and the like, that you participated in the whole thing. The plan was after the one in 2020 that we were going to have one every other year with ONC. We missed a year because of COVID, so we're catching up. I will be putting all of the materials together from the 2020 meeting and making them available to everyone. We will send you that information in a link so that you can look at it. There was basically a report. There was a meeting summary. It was kind of like a formalized set of notes from all the speakers. I'm pretty sure we made all the presentations available. And there's a one-pager on why we had the meeting. It was sponsored by the National Security Council at the time. Dr. Dave Wade at NSC was a colleague at the Office of Health Affairs and Homeland Security, had a great interest in data. And then Dr. Andy Gettinger at ONC, who has since retired, were like the two big sponsors for us in 2020. So more to come on that. The agenda, we're working on it right now. It looks like it's going to shape up in similar fashion to 2020, where the first hour will be pre-hospital, the second hour hospital, and the third hour federal, and all things putting this data together. There'll be a couple presentations in each one of the hours, just brief overviews, and then there'll be a time certainly for questions and answers within that hour on each of the topics. So a lot more to come on that. We're just getting everything rolled out. And if there's questions, by all means, send them to me. If you have recommendations for speakers who can really pull together the pre-hospital to hospital data integration piece, I would love to know who they are. We've identified a few, but we're really looking for that in the field, high speed, low drag person who can kind of sell the topic and bring it together for a large national audience. So as I said, more to come on that. The last thing I have for today, as we are getting further and further into the 402, the 405 grants for DOT, the distribution of bipartisan infrastructure monies through Safe Streets for All and other programs, I want to remind you to please, if you have success or you have failure with submissions, share that with Randall so that we can keep a running list of what's working and what's not working. If you're going to submit something, or once you have your submission, even if it's not NEMSIS related, if you would please share it with Randall. If you want us to provide support, let us know about it beforehand. We do get questions from the regions and from states from time to time, and they'll ask something like, we have this submission for NEMSIS, and does this make sense? And we can explain it and say, absolutely. So sometimes if we have a little bit of a heads up, it'll work in your benefit. We're not going to tell you what to submit. That's completely up to you. It's completely up to your state, but we can certainly help sell the deal as best we can if we have an understanding of it. So again, the big ticket out of that request is let Randall know your successes and failures. We're trying to put together a list of what works and what doesn't work. Remember, we're in year 2 of this monies. It was $1 billion a year. 200 million went back the first year because it wasn't spent. And as Dia says, why wasn't it spent? No one asked for it. So anything version 3.5, upgrade, training for your people to go to 3.5, introducing the new trauma triage guidelines, trauma registry data, outcomes data coming back based on motor vehicle crashes. Remember, that's the key. DOT is not focused on cardiacs and strokes. They are focused on motor vehicle crashes. However, the same outcomes process can work for all patients. So again, happy to help you with anything like that. Let us know, keep us in the loop with what's going on, specifically work through Randall. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, that's all I have for today. Let me check the chat real quick. Hey, Eric, the interoperability presentation at OC, what is the goal of the presentation? To garner support for federal stakeholders. So there's a lot of goals. The first one was we learned that there were HIE sort of non-governmental organizations or like the SEMSOs and other types for that audience and world that we didn't even know existed. So we brought people in the room that had never met before, and that was the whole reason for doing it. So part of it is just to have an understanding of who's who. I was on a call the other day that really just sickened me. We were talking with hospital executives, and we were talking about NHTSA data, and this one gentleman, I'll say gentleman, says, well, that pre-hospital data is sort of the wild, wild west. There's really no standardization to it whatsoever. And as I sunk back into my chair and said bad words, I started out with, well, sir, let me update you. There actually is, and just went on with a little spiel. So there are still people that need to be educated on what's out there and the value of that data. So that's the big ticket item. The second one is to continue the great work Josh and that whole group is doing. All the people that are on that call with him, getting them more in the know. And then the biggest piece is making sure that ONC is another large federal agency. And you see that with us, just with giving out money through grants. It's not consistent from regional office to regional office or state to state. ONC is the same way. What one division of ONC knows about NHTSA data doesn't mean the other division knows the same thing. So we're trying to get them all on the same page. The HIMSS conference is a great place to do that because they have a heavy presence there. So we've been supporting that very heavily. It's really about getting NHTSA data plugged into USCDI, which is their national data set. And then once hospitals are mandated that they have to take that data, they have to be able to exchange that. Otherwise, it's back into information blocking. So it's kind of a backhanded way to force EMS data and exchange data with the hospitals. The fact that it's all standardized and we can do that standardized across the country should eliminate the just crazy costs I've heard in some areas where 7 ambulance services, 3 volunteer, 2 paid, and whatever are providing data to the same hospital, and the hospital vendor there wants paid for each one of those services to make this happen. That's ridiculous. So all of that is on the table. It's trying to get our hands around what this system should look like. I say this all the time. There is no textbook, at least if someone finds it, send it to me. There is no textbook for how this is supposed to work. Some of this is being written by ONC as we speak. And Rachel Abbey, who is our point of contact, is very clear about that. And she's always a good advocate for us in the room saying, hey, what about EMS? What about pre-hospital data? Where does this fit into it? So those are the big ticket items for this meeting, and we want to show some success stories, and we want to show some failures. And by failures, I mean where EMS has tried to exchange data, but met with, I think the first round, we had a ton of talk about HIPAA, and Ryan Stark and Paige Wolfberg-Worth, who we brought in to kind of squash that. I think they've done a good job. I haven't heard where HIPAA has been a barrier to anything NHTSA in a while. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It just means that I haven't heard about it. And there for a while in 2020, especially at the start of COVID, we had some just nasty things going on. So PWW was asked to put together documentation, which that came out of that meeting in 2020 that supported the ambulance services, the lawyer-to-lawyer letters, the EMS chief to the hospital letters, the guidance on HIPAA, the guidance on body cams. All of those things are results of that meeting. So I'm hoping what we get out of this one is a laundry list of things that need to be addressed. That makes it very easy to prioritize and budget for when I can say, wow, we had this National Data Summit, and the consensus was these 5 things needed to happen. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Jen, thank you for the time.
Thank you so much, Eric. And I'd also like to put a shout out. Jeremy Kinsman is back from his leave and has joined us this week. Jeremy, feel free to unmute if you would like and say hello to everyone. Welcome back. put your seatbelt on, because I know we have a long list of things for you.
Yeah. Hi, Jen. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, just wanted to say as Jen mentioned, I just came back, so I'm getting caught up to speed, and have been working closely with Eric to do that. And I did have a chance last week to watch the annual meeting recordings. I just want to congratulate the TAC and the staff there on a great job. And it was great to come back and have an opportunity to watch those and just kind of get excited about where we're headed, and just see all the great work that folks are doing. So I'm happy to be back, and please feel free to reach out anytime if you have questions or something that I can help with. Thanks.
And we are glad to have you back. So thank you. And that brings us to open forum. Are there any items that anyone would like to bring up or have discussed on the call today? Feel free to raise your hand or put it in chat. I know it's a little bit harder with our new lockdown, but that is the price of technology these days. I'll give it just a second. And then while we wait to see if there's anyone who would like to bring up anything in open forum, you'll notice there isn't a training listed for October. That is still a little up in the air whether we'll be able to have that October training. As soon as we know if there's going to be one, we will let you know and put it out there for everyone to hear about. And then, of course, our next meeting for the V3 implementation call will be September 27th. And there haven't been any questions or hands raised that I have seen for open forum. So that'll be it for today. Thank you, everyone. We know your time is you're all very, very busy. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Feel free to contact, open up a help desk ticket, reach out to any one of your NHTSA tax support staff. We are here to help you, and have a great rest of your day today.